Hello, everyone. If I had to pick a horse game that holds a lot of nostalgic sentimentality, Horse Illustrated Championship Season would be very near the top of the list. This game holds a very special place in my heart. It is one of the first horse games I truly spent hours upon hours of playing when I was younger. When I first wanted to replay it and make this video, I struggled to remember the name of it, but by the power of Google, I was able to find it and get a playable version. I was so excited to revisit it as it's been several years since I played. But before I get started, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe and stick around. We would love to have you. First turning it on, the music was like an instant throwback. Also, I had forgotten about the super creepy horse with the eyes that follow the cursor. I used to think that was so cool. There's a sort of tutorial in that when you start to move around the barn, the talking horse pops up and gives you a voice-acted description of what each area is and how to use it.
And other horses. The halters are kept in the tack room. Check the clipboards.
So, when you first begin, the only horse you have access to is Barney. Each horse has a clipboard where you can read information about them, such as their barn name, registered show name, tack color, rider suitability, breed, coat color and gender, age, height, show history, personality traits, and proper feeding regimen. Yes, each horse has a separate feeding regimen. Isn't that cool? There is also an option to put your own notes if you'd like to. The barn area of this game is the best part of it, in my opinion. You move around by clicking the edges of the screen, and it's just still images as you stop in each area. But despite it being only pictures, there's fun little posters hanging around like these sale ads, a kitchen area where there's a few different activities, and many detailed props, but I'll get more into all that in a bit. Credits are the currency in the game, and caring for your horse and competing are the main ways to earn credits. You can check how many credits you currently have by going to any of the dressage scoreboards in the barn. In terms of competitions, this game has dressage, show jumping, and cross country, and there's absolutely no free riding at all. Before jumping into a competition, I went to the training area first for a refresher since it had been so long. This portion of the game looks rough, like really rough. Look at all these black pixels. It's like a swarm of flies constantly surrounding my horse. The dressage is super simple, literally just walk, trot, or canter over the colored coordinated dots in the arena. No special moves or anything of the sort. Show jumping is just timing the spacebar to jump at the right time, which is actually hard to do because you're at this awkward angle to play. And also, the horse continues to glide forward as it jumps, so you have to take that into account with the timing. The galloping sound effect doesn't match at all what the horse is doing, which I've noticed is a pretty common theme in these horse games. And then the cross country is like show jumping, but it's a little bit more difficult, as if you don't time it right, you won't knock a pole, but you actually fall off your horse. And when I heard that, I was like, wait, you actually fall off? Why don't I remember that? I have to see this. So here I am trying to purposefully time my jumps wrong, and for some reason landing them perfectly. So I just went and didn't jump at all, and there we go. Wow, you really do fly off, okay. I went ahead and competed in my first competition. I think the announcer is a nice touch and adds to the realism, but honestly, he does get kind of repetitive.
Off to a nice start.
I have a lot of memories of him saying, "That was close," and being so frustrated when he'd repeat the same phrases over and over again. Like, yeah, I know, I'm not doing great. I get it, okay? Dressage and show jumping I did pretty well, despite knocking a few poles. The cross country was rough, though. I flew off so many times, having to circle around to try and time it better again and again. Eventually, I finally got disqualified for missing a jump.
The rider is disqualified for missing a jump.
And there's no way to zoom your camera out more or change it in any way whatsoever, so it's just kind of awkward and it doesn't feel good at all. So yeah, the competitions are nothing special, which is really unfortunate because it's literally called Championship Season. Basically, what your overall goal of the game is to gain credits, purchase the higher ranked horses, compete with them, and win ribbons all the way until you unlock Blaze, the top horse in the barn. When you're preparing to take your horse out, you first need to go to the tack room and select the horse's tack by color. Barney's tack is red, so I'll use the red halter to get him out. Once the horse is out, it goes to the wash rack where you can then put on a bridle and saddle. After riding, horse care consists of brushing, picking feet, fly spraying, and spraying Shoshin. The animations are very stiff and boring while the horse is in the wash rack, which I guess is kind of the same when it's in its stall. It's like a picture with only the tail swishing every now and then. I also think it's really stupid you do this on a wash rack and you can't even bathe the horse. I do like that the hoof picking animation is fast and simple. Most horse games tend to make it an overly complicated and long-winded activity that gets monotonous quickly. But man, look at that leg stretch. That's an animation. You also have to make sure you fly spray the horse before putting them away. Oh, and a fun fact. If you exit the game with your horse not put away properly, like you just leave it in the wash rack, you'll lose credits. Once the horse is clean, you put it away and it's time to feed. As I mentioned earlier, each horse has their own feeding regimen, so it's important to check the horse's chart to know what they need to eat. Barney needs 3 scoops of oats, so in the feed room there are colored buckets representing each horse's tack color and bins filled with different grains. You use the scoop to put the correct feed in the bucket and then take it to the horse to eat. This is something I distinctly remember from back then and one of my favorite aspects of the game. I wish more horse games took into account that diet should be more than just throwing hay into a feed bin. I like having varying options and dietary needs for the different horses. Once he's fed, he needs water, which is given via the bucket near the entrance of the barn, and then his stall needs to be mucked out. This could have been done better, but I do appreciate that it's a thing. As you unlock more horses, their feeding regimen gets more complicated, as you can see by these different charts here. I don't see on any of the charts that they need plain alfalfa, but I noticed that going to where the hay is, you can actually pick up a flake of hay. So I don't know if you're supposed to just feed them the hay with the grain, which kind of actually makes sense. You probably are supposed to do that. And then after you get the flake of hay, obviously, hay gets everywhere, just like in real life, right? So they have the broom right here. You just sweep that up, and that's another realistic aspect that I really appreciate in the game. There's a lot to do in the barn, and it stems from the kitchen. There's a TV and a VCR that kind of shows the age of the game, with tapes to watch real-life tutorial videos on mounting, trailering, bridling, all kinds of horse information. Unfortunately though, with the version of the game I have, these videos did not work, so I can't show you an example. You can change the station on the radio to change the music playing in the barn, and there's also a phone, which I initially didn't remember what it was for. I tried dialing 911 for fun, and then the call failed, or something. Pressing 0 gets an operator.
Operator.
Then I looked at the paper hanging on the cabinet above the phone and remembered that it is for the scavenger hunt. There's a whole list of items to find throughout the barn, and you call different numbers on the phone to get clues on the objects you're looking for. I think this is such a fun addition to the game. There's other little Easter eggs to find, so it's good to really look around. On the table, there's a trivia card game that asks horse-related questions, and a correct answer gives credits. After answering a few, the game just crashed on me though. I kept having that problem over and over. I know I mentioned this before, but I want to go back to talk about the amount of detail in these rooms. For example, in the tack room, there's a binder full of real-life facts about horses to help teach the player proper terms for horse anatomy, what to call the different genders like mare, gelding, stallion, filly, etc. Even a chart with teeth to show their age. Again, my game crashed on this part. In the feed room, there are realistic supplements on the shelves, and a couple of charts, one showing 3 of the horse's gaits, the ones that are in the game, with detailed descriptions on how it should be performed, and then the other chart describing different coat colors. I really like the teaching aspects of this game because I know that I personally learned a lot of horse information from playing this. I especially love the amount of detail in these sale ads. I mean, look at these. Real pictures with realistic information about these horses. and then the free to good home dog ad. I wish more horse games took some ideas from this one in terms of having a broader feeding mechanic and the addition of other fun activities you can do outside of horse care and riding, like the scavenger hunt. The competitions are nothing to swoon over, that's for sure. Overall, I had a really, really good time revisiting this game despite the almost constant crashing and other difficulties. I would have played it more and unlocked more horses if not for those complications. And I'm really sad I couldn't show you an example of the videos because those were neat. Have any of you ever heard of this game or played it before? Let me know your experiences down in the comments, I would love to hear them. And also, if you have any games you'd like me to play, please let me know that too. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, bye guys.